How we doing, everyone? I just want to do a really quick review for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I believe this is the ninth film for director-writer Quentin Tarantino. And of course, you know, he has his hardcore fans that think that everything he does is absolutely perfect. But I'm afraid I didn't drink that Kool-Aid. I saw it the other night, and I thought it was okay. It definitely was not his best work, to say the least. But it's the actors that really make this film. It's not really, and this is going to be a spoiler free for the most part. So you can, you know, if you haven't seen the film yet, if you're deciding whether to see it or not, you can definitely watch this. So it's about two guys in Hollywood that realize, and you can tell this by the trailer, which we'll show a little snippet of.
A lot of killing.
Anybody order fried sauerkraut? From you Nazi bastards! Seems this world got you down. You're feeling bad, bad, be so
Are you an actor?
No, I'm a stuntman.
girl, look at me.
So you still direct, huh? Still here.
You can do anything you want to him.
We're gonna have a
I hired you to be an actor, Rick, not a TV cowboy. You're better than that.
Line.
So yeah, so it's about two guys in Hollywood. One's an actor, one's a stuntman, or used to be, and the actor who was very big at one time, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, is just not big anymore. And you know, he's starting to do TV shows, and there's one scene with Pacino that he says, well, if you're playing the bad guy on TV shows, you're done. Because somebody's kicking your ass every week, and all you're doing is ushering along the new guys. So, I mean, that's an interesting premise, but I knew that Sharon Tate's character, which was played by Margot Robbie, I knew that the character was in there. And Sharon Tate is a real person. And, you know, she did live in Hollywood at that time. And when we were shooting one of our pieces, we were shooting Silent Life, we ended up shooting it in Hollywood at the same time this movie was being shot. So we ended up using Tarantino's permits. Our director didn't have a whole lot of money, and it was a director/producer, and we ended up shooting in places that we didn't have permits for. So when the cops came up, he said, "Oh, we're with Tarantino's group," and of course we couldn't even get parking for our cast and crew because Tarantino had bought it all up. So there was one right off Hollywood Boulevard. There was one parking lot that we walked past, and it was filled with extras, you know, that were in the 50s, 60s garb. So, and this takes place, I believe it's 69. It takes place in 69. So it was pretty amazing to see, and there was, of course, trailers everywhere and whatever. I mean, this movie cost $90 million with no special effects, no real fight scenes. Unless all this money went right into the pockets of the actors and Tarantino, I can't imagine where that money got spent. You know, he did shoot it all here in Hollywood, and he did close off, you know, roads and stuff like that. But still, you know, I don't know where that money went. Anyway, it's got to make $200 million to break even. But from when I went to the theater, first of all, it was full on Thursday night. Second of all, he had 5 theaters taken over by this thing. So it was Lion King and this movie, and that's it. There was like 2 other, like Toy Story was in there, and Crawl was in there, and that was the entire multiplex. Was these like 4 films. I've never seen anything like that. So it should make its money. I don't know. Tarantino has a huge following, but we'll see how it goes because I don't know how excited people were to see this. But anyway, going back to the Sharon Tate piece, I like history and things to that effect, and I never really heard much about the Sharon Tate murders. And that was the point, that she was murdered. So she was murdered by the Manson family. All right, which, obviously you heard about that. I didn't really, again, know much about the Manson family. Right? So I did research, and I suggest you do too. Because, like Inglourious Basterds, which I felt was a far better film than this, I also felt that Zanca was a better film than this. Because this is a film, and I said some other reviewers said the same thing. This is like a Seinfeld episode. It's a movie about nothing. It's just a character piece. We're just following these two guys around, and that's the extent of this film. So don't expect much. There's not any real story here. In fact, like the last 40 minutes of the film completely changes tone. So it was almost like Tarantino was having so much fun with these characters and just writing, and then all of a sudden he said, "Oops, I got to get back to the ending here. I got to wrap this up." And that's exactly how it feels, that we just got to wrap it up. Because it has a thing that says 6 months later, and then all of a sudden he's got this Kurt Russell voiceover trying to wrap everything up. It was just very jarring, and it made no sense. And I thought that this was going to be moving into the Sharon Tate murders, and at the end of the film, he did gotcha, whoa, gotcha, and that's how I felt at the end, going, what? And when you see the film, again, I suggest you read into the murders so you know where this movie's supposed to be going. And then he goes, gotcha, and I was walked out of there going, I will never see this film again, ever. But on the positive side, the actors were great, characters were great. This is definitely a foot fetish film. If you have a foot fetish, this is the film for you. I have never seen more feet in a movie ever. So he's got walking feet, he's got booted feet, he's got back of the feet, he's got bare feet. The camera is on the people's feet more than they're on their face, I think. Also, if you like dogs, there's definitely a dog character in it. So there's that. Also, there's one piece at the beginning that, continuity-wise, and they kept cutting back and forth, and I was like, stop it! So the very first scene, they're waiting for Pacino. So Brad Pitt and DiCaprio are sitting next to one another at this bar. In fact, there's a couple of restaurants in there I've actually eaten in. So he takes a bite of the celery stick that's in this Bloody Mary. And now that I'm saying this, you're going to see it. So when he shoots in this direction, the stalk is this big, right? And then when he turns around, I guess he hadn't taken the bite yet. So now the stalk is this big, and it goes back and forth when he keeps cutting back and forth. And my eye could not stop looking at that damn celery stick. The scene was ruined for me just because the celery stick was the wrong size when he went back and forth. Anyway, watch that, and I guarantee you that your eye will now see it, that I mentioned it. Anyway, going back to this film, I thought it was okay. It was just okay. It's not even really memorable. The only reason Margot Robbie's even in this film is for the gotcha.
So is there any fear, any worry about playing the real Sharon Tate?
After I've read the script, I definitely felt confident, and because it was very evident the take that Quentin had in portraying her, and it was evident to me by the way that he wrote her that he adored her and he was charmed by her, and he has memories of watching her films when he was 7 years old and just being utterly delighted, and that kind of seeped into his writing. I could feel that when I read it.
There really is no reason for her character at all, which is unfortunate because I thought the movie was going to surround about her, and it just didn't. Anyway, if you're a fan of Tarantino, go see it. I'm just telling you not to expect much out of it because there's not much there. Anyway, that's if I was going to rate it on a scale to 1 to 10, it's a 5. It's a 5 because the actors elevated it and had fun with their characters. Otherwise, not much. I'd say skip it. Watch it on video. You'll probably watch it in multiple pieces because it's almost 3 hours long. 3 hours long of nothing. Only Tarantino can get away with something like that. Anyway, have a great weekend. Hope the movie makes $200 million for the actor's sake and Tarantino's, because I hope he does Star Trek. In fact, I'd love to see what he would do with that. Anyway, have a good one, and subscribe, and tell your friends.